My name is Emma, and I'm here to tell you about a novel that has captivated readers for nearly a century. The Great Gatsby, written by F. Scott Fitzgerald, is a work of fiction that explores the complexities of human nature and the dangers of the American dream. Set in the 1920s, the story takes place in New York City and Long Island during a time of great social and cultural change. As the narrator of this story, I will take you on a journey through the lives of several characters whose paths intersect over the course of one summer. Through vivid descriptions and poetic prose, Fitzgerald invites us to explore the world of J. Gatsby, a mysterious millionaire who has risen to the top of society through dubious means. Alongside Gatsby, we meet his former love interest, Daisy Buchanan, a woman torn between her desire for wealth and her longing for true love. We also encounter Tom Buchanan, Daisy's husband, who represents the excesses and dangers of the elite class. As the story unfolds, we witness a world of extravagance, excess, and disillusionment. Through its characters and themes, The Great Gatsby forces us to confront the darker side of the American dream, a dream that promises success and happiness but often comes at a great cost. The novel opens with the narrator, Nick Carraway, introducing himself and explaining that he has recently moved to New York City to work in the bond business. He rents a small house in the West Egg district of Long Island, near the mansion of the mysterious and wealthy J. Gatsby. Nick is related to Daisy Buchanan, a woman he knew in his hometown of Louisville, Kentucky. Daisy is married to Tom Buchanan, a former Yale football player who now works in finance. Nick is invited to one of Gatsby's parties, which are held every weekend and are known for their opulence and extravagance. Despite the partygoers' lack of manners and self-restraint, Nick is impressed by the sheer scale of the event. He meets Gatsby for the first time, but Gatsby remains aloof and distant. Nick learns from his neighbor, the gossiping Mr. Gatz, that Gatsby is actually named James Gatz and that he was born into a poor family in North Dakota. Nick is intrigued by Gatsby and his parties, and he soon becomes drawn into his world. He attends several more parties and eventually strikes up a friendship with Gatsby. Gatsby confides in Nick that he is in love with Daisy and that he wants to win her back from Tom Buchanan. Gatsby tells Nick that he met Daisy while he was stationed in Louisville during World War I, and the two fell in love. Gatsby left to fight in the war, and Daisy married Tom while he was overseas. Gatsby became wealthy by bootlegging alcohol during Prohibition and other illegal activities, and he bought his mansion in West Egg in the hopes of winning back Daisy. Gatsby asks Nick to arrange a meeting between him and Daisy, and Nick agrees. Gatsby is nervous about the meeting and asks Nick to invite Daisy over for tea without telling her that Gatsby will be there. The meeting is awkward at first, but soon Daisy and Gatsby begin to reminisce about their past. Daisy is clearly moved by Gatsby's grand gestures and his love for her. Gatsby tells Daisy that he wants her to leave Tom and be with him, but Daisy is torn between her love for Gatsby and her loyalty to her husband. The meeting ends on an optimistic note, with Gatsby and Daisy rekindling their romance. As the summer progresses, tensions between the characters begin to rise. Tom becomes suspicious of Daisy's relationship with Gatsby and starts investigating his background. He discovers that Gatsby's wealth comes from illegal activities and begins to expose Gatsby's past to those around him. Gatsby, however, is determined to win Daisy back and continues to pursue her. At a party at the Buchanan's mansion, Gatsby and Tom argue over Daisy. Gatsby insists that Daisy never loved Tom and that she will leave him for Gatsby, but Daisy cannot bring herself to make a decision. Tom reveals that Gatsby made his money through illegal means, and Daisy begins to doubt her feelings for Gatsby. The tension between the characters reaches a boiling point, and the situation becomes increasingly volatile. Later that night, as Daisy and Gatsby are driving back to West Egg, Daisy accidentally hits and kills Myrtle Wilson, the mistress of George Wilson, a garage owner in the Valley of Ashes. Myrtle had been running across the road after seeing Tom's car and thinking he was in it. The car that hits her, however, is Daisy's, with Gatsby driving. After hitting Myrtle, Daisy continues driving, but Gatsby insists on taking the blame for the accident. Tom blames Gatsby for Myrtle's death and tells George that Gatsby was the one who hit her. George, who is devastated by Myrtle's death, seeks revenge and ultimately shoots and kills Gatsby before turning the gun on himself. The novel ends with Nick reflecting on the events of the summer and the corruption and disillusionment of the American dream. Throughout the novel, Fitzgerald uses symbolism to convey deeper meanings and themes. One prominent symbol is the green light on the end of Daisy's dock, which Gatsby sees as a symbol of hope and his desire to be with Daisy. The Valley of Ashes, which separates West Egg and New York City, represents the decay and corruption of American society. The eyes of Dr. T.J. Eckelberg, which are painted on a billboard in the Valley of Ashes, represent the moral decay of society and the loss of spiritual values. The Great Gatsby is often regarded as a commentary on the excesses and disillusionment of the Jazz Age, a term used to describe the period of time in the 1920s when American society was undergoing significant cultural changes. The novel explores themes such as the corruption of the American dream, the dangers of wealth and privilege, and the destructive power of love and desire. The characters in the novel embody these themes and serve as symbols of the excesses and dangers of the Jazz Age. Gatsby, for example, represents the destructive power of love and desire, as he is willing to do whatever it takes to win back Daisy, even if it means breaking the law and risking his own life. Tom represents the corrupting influence of wealth and privilege, as he uses his money and power to manipulate those around him and maintain his social status. Daisy, meanwhile, embodies the danger of the American dream, as she is trapped between her desire for Gatsby and her loyalty to Tom. Her inability to make a decision ultimately leads to tragedy and the destruction of those around her. In conclusion, The Great Gatsby is a literary masterpiece that explores the excesses and disillusionment of the Jazz Age and the corrupting influence of wealth and privilege. The novel uses rich symbolism and intricate characterizations to convey its themes, and its poetic prose style has made it a classic of American literature. Fitzgerald's work continues to be celebrated and studied to this day for its exploration of the American dream and the complexities of human nature.